In 2009, when I scheduled my first therapy session, it wasn't because I thought I needed it. I wasn't in crisis, I had no pressing mental health issues that I was aware of, but I scheduled that first session because I was starting grad school to become a clinical psychologist, and I figured I should probably sample the product I was training to sell. Therapy felt useful to me pretty quickly. It was nice to have a place to vent, but it didn't necessarily feel like a lot was changing. But about 8 months in, I had my first big epiphany. I'd spent the past several sessions agonizing over a big choice I had to make, going back and forth for weeks when finally my therapist said, "Emily, what if there isn't a right choice? What if there are just choices here? And no matter which one you pick, you're going to gain something important and you're going to lose something important. My biggest fear in life is loss, and I do a lot to avoid it. It took me 8 months of therapy to build the strength to accept that every choice that I ever make will require me to mourn the loss of each one that I didn't choose. And this realization gave me faith in the process of therapy, and I accepted that I am the common factor in all of my life circumstances. And then, several years into therapy, I looked around and I realized that everything in my life had shifted for the better. I was learning about how powerful it is to have a trained, objective person to help you understand the most beautifully complicated thing there is, your own mind. According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 1 in 5 adults in the United States experiences a mental health issue, including depression, anxiety, and insomnia, in any given year. There are many misconceptions when it comes to seeking help for mental health issues, including the stigma surrounding therapy. Research shows that therapy works, and its positive effects can endure even years after treatment has ended. Still, the stigma and misconceptions remain when it comes to entering therapy. Many people simply won't go, even when it's desperately needed. In her TED Talk, Why We Should All Try Therapy, psychologist Dr. Emily Anhalt shares her experience as both therapist and patient to make the compelling case that therapy isn't just a means to an end. Now, being in therapy for several years might sound like a long time because our culture is kind of obsessed with the quick fix. If you want to ride to the airport right now, you can get it. But the hard truth is, a shift in our emotions is not as easy to manifest as an Uber. We need to stop trying to find easy solutions for complicated problems. Now, self-care is kind of having a moment right now, and I think that's wonderful. But self-care is supposed to mean making thoughtful, compassionate choices for yourself. These days, it's kind of used as an excuse to do whatever the heck you want. So, while sitting in the tub with a glass of wine and Netflix looks lovely, I'm not sure I'd say mixing alcohol, hot water, and electronics is that great of an idea. Real self-care, more specifically real therapy, comes in many different forms and can be described in different ways. As a therapist, I've gotten to experience this from the other side of the couch. There was a patient who would always try to fix me instead of focusing on herself. Together, we came to realize how responsible she feels for everyone around her, even when it's to her detriment, and she practiced finding balance. Then there was the CEO I worked with, who picked little fights with me all of the time, and then tried really hard to resolve those fights. Over time, we came to the conclusion that he unknowingly creates problems, because fixing those problems makes him feel wanted and important. And then there was the guy who, despite being very wealthy, paid for his first session in nickels, and then never came back. So that one remains a mystery. Now, I love therapy, but anything that has to do with improving your mental health is therapeutic. Anything that helps you become more comfortable being uncomfortable. The main point is it won't be quick or easy, and it's pretty tough to do alone. No world-class athlete has ever achieved their full potential without the support of a coach. Why do we expect to achieve our full emotional potential by ourselves? Having that trained objective person to reflect you back to yourself is a game changer. Now, what I see is most people using their family or friends for this. And while your family and friends are so important, they're not trained and they're definitely not objective. However, I do want to acknowledge that therapy requires time and money, and this can be a prohibitive factor. And there are sliding scale clinics in every major city, and in my experience, time and money tend to shrink and expand in relation to priority. The amount of time you spend preoccupied by all that's on your mind vastly outweighs the amount of time therapy takes. Now, if you're sitting there listening and thinking I'm not really talking to you, I hate to say it, but I am especially talking to you. There is so much you don't know, and we're very good at hiding things from ourselves. So unprocessed pain and unhealthy ways get passed down from generation to generation. But here's the thing, so does healing. By doing this work on yourself, you are breaking the cycle. Have you ever wished that your family had built better tools? Or that your boss was a little more self-aware? Or that your partner was a better communicator? Well, the pure magic of it all is, as you begin to do this work on yourself, things will change. As you get healthier people will just show up. I've seen what can happen when someone commits to this and the ripple effect it has. The ways in which it will affect anyone who you interact with will be positively impacted by the amount of work you do on yourself. So go ahead and start now. Strengthen your resilience muscles while they're healthy enough to be flexed. Issues are so much easier to prevent than they are to fix. The term mental health has become equated with mental health issues. But instead of just mental fixes, we should be thinking about mental fitness. You don't have to be broken. You don't have to be desperate. You don't have to be anything except curious and ready to level up to the version of yourself that you want to be. When people often ask me why therapy is worth doing, they'll often say, "Is it because it'll just make me happy?" And I usually say, no, it is not that it'll just make you happy. It's that it will increase the depth and authenticity of your happiness. We live in a world that fetishizes happiness, and we're made to believe something is wrong with us if we're not thrilled at every moment. But happiness is not a sustainable end goal. Happiness is only one of many healthy, useful emotions. And in therapy, you have the permission and support to feel the full range of human emotion, instead of just one small slice. But with all of this said, this deep and meaningful experience is much better felt than explained. So go feel it.
Oh my God, it's really happening today. I love her song out there and breaking all the rules.
Kind of like we're rebels, you know?
I'm gonna pass out.
Stop. Okay, here's the deal. We're getting married today.
We're getting married today. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. What do I do? What do I do? I forget my lines. I forget what to say. I eat my hand. What do I do? What do I do?
Matt's always been a little manic, and I'm way more reserved, so no one in a million years would have saw this coming.
I love you. According to an article published by the New York Times,
76% of Americans correlate a man's sexual orientation by the amount of femininity he expresses in his
speech,
wardrobe,
or even body language.
But after polling 100 feminine acting men, only 15% were found gay.
Wait, so are you telling me that a gay man can be masculine?
And are you telling me that a straight guy can act feminine? What? Perfect.
By Alan Cannell.
I mean, there were some signs along the way, like in kindergarten.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
You're like so cute.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you are. You opening down on the teeter totter with me?
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing? It's a teeter-totter.
My daddy warned me about getting on the teeter-totter with perverts like you.
No! See, I just really want to balance with you.
Well, it's not gonna happen with me, buddy. Not now, not ever.
Promise that for 25, when we're not married, we'll marry each other.
Okay, deal. As we got older, he really started to show his emotional side.
Oh my gosh, Brooke, do you want to see my act for the talent show?
Oh my gosh, Matt! No.
Oh. Wow. Just wow, Brooke. I can't believe you would do this to me.
You crying?
Yeah, Monster Brooke.
Put the lid on the crazy can.
I can't find the lid. I can't find
Okay, just shut up and do it, Matt.
Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now you know your A, B, C.
What is wrong with you?
A lot.
Then high school came and only changed him a little bit.
Okay, bro, this is only gonna hurt a little bit, so just sit. Okay, so I've been watching through your window lately, and
Matt!
What? You were fully clothed. There's nothing to worry
Matt!
about. Okay, I can see y'all can that sound a little wrong, so I'll just rephrase it. I've been watching you for your window night, Laurie. There's a few things we need to discuss.
Okay, let's start with you stalking me.
Stalking is when two people go on a long romantic walk and only one of them knows about it. See?
People go to jail for that, Matt.
Okay. Jail. Mm-hmm.
Look, if you like me, you can just say it instead of stalking me. It's okay.
I'm not stalking you, Brooke. Never even been in your kitchen before. Your bed is really comfortable, though.
Matt!
What?
And all of this led up to one very confusing moment.
Marry me.
And he wasn't kidding.
Marry me.
What?
We made that contract that if we were 25 and we weren't married, we'd marry each other. So, happy birthday.
No, this is ridiculous.
I don't understand.
We were 5.
I want to marry you.
You're gay!
What does everyone keep saying that? When I asked your mom, she said the exact same thing. And then I asked my dad, and he said, well, son, you're gay. Please explain it to me.
You want me to tell you why?
People think I'm gay. Yes.
Fine. It's the way you talk.
How do I talk, bro?
Not like that. Look, Matt, most straight guys don't break out in song and dance.
I can't help it that I always have a song in my heart, and I. You have a point with that one. What else?
You wear so many scarves.
This is an accent, thank you very much.
Look, Matt, you've never shown an interest in girls before.
Look, Brooke. The only reason I've never shown an interest in any other girls before is because you're all I need.
Oh my God. You're completely serious. You're straight?
I'm straight.
Not gay?
Not gay.
So this is all just who you are? And for 19 years you've been
Stalking
courting me?
Oh, courting you. I like that. Do you want me to change for you?
No, Matt. I don't want you to change for me. I love you.
So yes.
No.
What?
Say you're sorry.
I have nothing to say. I'm sorry.
Say you're sorry.
Brooke, I'm not gonna just
Say you're
apologize.
sorry!
I'm sorry!
There. Once you're ready to say sorry for no reason at all, then you're ready to get married. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be amazing! Even the wedding cake will be in tears. Boom, boom, boom! It's
Which leads us to today. And I can honestly say that I get to marry my lifelong best friend.
Oh, Brooke, you look ravishing.
You do too.
I know.
Okay, but before we start, full disclosure.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I ain't made those videos in college because I was drunk. stupid.
Matt, my full disclosure, not yours.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
When we were younger, I used to watch you through your window too.
Oh my gosh, Brooke. That's amazing. You and me together forever? It's perfect.
It is perfect.
You get me.
When I say student debt, you probably imagine that fear-inducing, anxiety-producing feeling you get anytime you open up a college textbook. However, student debt didn't used to be this serious monster that hid in your closet. Because according to an article published by the College Financing Group on May 19th, 2014, we saw that in that same year, average student debt was around $35,000, while being only less than $10,000 in 1993. This dramatic increase in student debt has to bring forward just one question. That being, should the federal government forgive student debt? The answer is absolutely. Although instead of doing it in one big wave, it should do it in much smaller, different increments. Maybe $1,000 per month instead of the annual $1.5 billion that's sent to a college student right away they enter college. In order to further analyze this question and provide a good, detailed answer, we have to give 3 key points. Those 3 being, how forgiving student debt could give more students the ability to afford a secondary education, how it could see an increase in qualified people for jobs, and finally, how it could help us all retire just a bit earlier than we expected. First, let's look at how many students could see a secondary education in their future. As we see the secondary education problem arise, we start to see that the upper echelon of society is able to send their student away to college without any worry of whether they're able to pay for their next meal or even their next article of clothing. This is all further introduced by an article published by Forbes on November 17th, 2020. We saw that the top fifth of families held $3 for every $1 held by the bottom fifth of families. This is showing us a dramatic spike in between the upper families of society and the lower families of society, and that many of them don't have to put forward that much money to send their kid away to college. Whether that richer family decides to send their student or younger boy to military school or their daughter to an all-girls prep school, it all brings down to the question that those families were able to pay for college at a much faster rate. Another article, introduced to us by Brookings on November 31st, 2019, states that richer families are able to borrow more than poor families due to being able to pay that college education back at a much faster rate. We're able to see that this is another dramatic increase between the lower families and the upper families, giving us the idea that many families of the middle class aren't able to send their kid through college without applying for several scholarships. I can tell you that right now. I've filed around 31 scholarships since the time I knew I wanted to go to college, and it just goes worse and worse from there. Now, in order to talk about the students getting a secondary education, we have to look at what jobs they might be doing in college and what jobs are going to look like when they get out of college. According to an article published by the Washington Post on November 31st, 2019, we saw that 75% of students go into a retail or a fast food job, many of these being a bagger at Kroger, going to Menards and looking around and helping anyone, or even going to McDonald's and flipping some burgers. We're seeing these college students work their way through the debt they're amassing as they go through this education, and it only gets worse from there. According to an article brought to us by Forbes, dated November 20th, 2020, we saw that high school diploma-only workers are at an unemployment rate of 8.1%, while college degree workers are only at a 4.2%. This is showing us that not necessarily if we get that college degree are we going to see unemployment decrease, but it could definitely help us see unemployment go down in a long run. A third article is instead brought to us by the Federal Student Aid on May 26, 2019. we see that out of approximately 43 million student loan budgets, 60% are over 2,000 or less, while 25% are 40,000 or more. This staggering amount is showing us that student loans are rising more and more as the years go on. However, student loan might keep you from retiring at an early age, as it's something many of us wish to do by the time we hopefully reach 60 or even 70. This is showing us that, according to an article published by Fortune on December 20th, 2016, we're able to see that as of September 2015, 1,114 are over the age of 50 and provided by Social Security, or seeing that Social Security reduced just because they haven't paid off all of their student debts. That same article goes on to explain how the amount taken from those Social Security has increased by 444% since then. As we see the older generation start to get more weak, we see that they start to apply for Social Security more and more and more. This older retirement is showing us that just because we're able to pay off our student debts doesn't mean we'll be escaped from them forever. It doesn't mean we'll be unshackled from the chains they hold on us. It instead shows us that the government could continue to take money away from us as the years go on and on and on. In fact, just to give you an idea of how much the government might make off of those chains holding you down, according to an article brought to us by the Congressional Budget Office on March 23rd, 2020, it states that the government profited $135 billion in that year. Now, $135 billion is something I hope to see in my lifetime, though chances are I might not, and I'm okay with that. However, I'm not okay with the government making that much money off of me wanting to get a secondary education. It's downright disrespectful to know that just because I want to be smarter in this ever-changing, ever-growing world, I have to pay an average of $1.5 billion or million depending on where I choose to go to college at and what major and minor you depend on. However, we see many students on the same side trade a $100,000 scholarship for just less than 1% of their student debts. We're seeing them trade a $100,000 education only to take a $40,000 job, showing us that America's education system is flawed in a few respects other than just having to make us pay a little bit more than we should. In conclusion, today we talked a lot about student debt and what it exactly meant. We did this all to answer one question. That being, should the federal government forgive student debt? We said absolutely, and instead it should doing it in much smaller increments compared to one big wave. We answered this question even further by showing that if we forgive student debts, we can see that more students will be able to afford college. Second, how we could see an increase in qualified people for the jobs they want. And third, how we could see an early retirement for many Americans. So next time when someone walks up to you and tries to tell you Social Security is downright rotten, tell them that just because they haven't paid back their student debts means they could potentially see the government taking more and more money depending on what they do in life, because student debt is the chain that binds us all together.
When they took Dad to the hospital that last time, he called me from his room. Lizzie, the paramedics asked me if I was on any medication, and I told them everything but Viagra. And then they put that stupid oxygen mask on me. Those were the last actual words that I'd heard my father say. It was typical Dad, dark, inappropriate, and funny. My sister Ann and I were at Coney Island celebrating my birthday when my sister Linda called us to tell us that we needed to come home immediately because Dad was dying. In his own way, Dad, who had suffered from emphysema for years, had always tried to prepare me. A few months before his own death, he even sent me a card and told me, "Don't open it until after I'm gone." Well, I opened it immediately. And when I opened it, it simply said, "I love you. You are my favorite. Please don't tell the others." Well, this made me feel a range of emotions. It made me feel like I'd done something right. And then it made me feel bad for my brother and sisters. And lastly, I felt guilty just for opening it, but also selfishly grateful that Dad and I shared this secret. American humorist Irma Lewis Bombeck once wrote, "There's a thin line that separates laughter and pain, comedy and tragedy, and humor and hurt. Losing someone that you love can be a devastating experience, especially a parent. But sometimes, if we're lucky, we can still find little moments to celebrate their lives and experience the joys that they brought to us every day. Comedian Liz Winstead shares the last moment she had with her father, and how he still brought laughter into their lives long after he was gone. The Last Laugh by Liz Winstead. Anne and I went straight to the hospital from the airport. When we walked into Dad's room, Mom was sitting in the chair next to my dad, and my brother and two sisters were sitting in the row on the extra bed in his room. Tears streamed down everyone's faces as they laughed. Dad couldn't speak, but he could hear everything. He was laughing so hard that his belly was bouncing. Just seeing everyone laughing and joking really reminded me of the old days. And just for a while, we all felt at ease. But the next day was a long one. Dad's stomach bouncing was minimal, and we didn't know what to do. So we just sat, waiting to feel worse than what we already did, which seemed nearly impossible. And then a hospice worker came in and suggested that we each take some time alone with him, just to share our private thoughts. It was my turn. At first, I felt a bit afraid of being alone with Dad, but I climbed into bed with him and I grabbed his hand and spoke to him in my normal voice. Dad, squeeze my hand so that I know that you can hear me. Squeeze. God, I just wanted him to squeeze it off. I didn't know where to start, so I started with apologizing for opening the card. Dad, I'm so sorry I opened your card. It made me feel so special. He didn't squeeze my hand, but his belly started to bounce. That was so much better than a squeeze. Dad, you are my inspiration to go out and make the world a funnier place. Squeeze. I know you let me win Jeopardy that one time. Squeeze. God, I knew it. Dad, I have to tell you that I am who I am today because of you. And that includes the bad parts, mister. I looked away for just a moment and then continued into his ear. You could not have done a better job of just being my dad. I hope that you're proud of me. Squeeze. I walked to the door to let everyone else in. They all filed in and took their places. Then a nurse came in and checked on Dad and said that he would pass within the hour. By now, we were about 15 people gathered and just sitting on Dad's bed. Each of us just wanted his pain to end, and we took turns assuring him that he could go, that we would all be okay, that everything would be okay. And finally, he took his last breath. We didn't know what to do. I looked over to Mom, and she was still holding his hand. And she said, he loved you kids more than anything in this world. You were his world. He always hoped that he told you that enough, which is why he sent you those cards as a reminder to open after he was gone. I said, I keep mine open in my jewelry box so that I can see it every day. And then I thought, they all got cards? Oh, so you opened yours, Mom asked. Guess he had told her that he was sending us cards, but did he reveal our secrets? I couldn't imagine that he had. Oh, so the rest of you opened yours as well, I'm assuming, Mom said. Everyone nodded. Well, Dad wanted you to open those cards after he was gone. But since you went against his wishes, I would love to hear what he wrote each of you. Liz, how about you start? Oh, no. This cannot be happening. My father has been dead for 5 minutes, and I'm about to make everyone feel worse than what they already do. Mom, maybe now it's just not the best time. Anne agreed with me and said that we should just focus on Dad. Crisis averted. No one wanted to read their cards, but Mom would just not let it go. Liz, you start. And then it hit me. That the only person that could do anything about this was just lying there, not doing anything. So I said, the card said, I love you. You were my favorite. Please don't. And before I had finished, all of my siblings had joined me in union. Tell the others. We all got the exact same card. He knew that we would open it the exact second he gave it to me, and we would believe whatever crap that he wrote in it. What a bastard. But more importantly, he knew how hard we would laugh the second we found out. Having to laugh at our own ridiculousness and remembering that he made us laugh even after his death. His greatest moment, and he couldn't even take a bow. Not physically, anyway. But in our heads, he was graciously appreciating the standing ovation. Bravo, Dad. Bravo.
Take a moment to imagine your favorite meal. Mine would be my mom's homemade fried chicken. It's fried in leftover bacon grease and crisped to almost perfection. There's mashed potatoes, green beans, homemade bread, gravy, and ice cream, with little star sprinkles for dessert. Oh, doesn't that just make your mouth water? I know mine is. But now, imagine that you didn't get to eat that meal, like many other homes in the country. You didn't even get to taste a nibble of it. Unfortunately, this is the reality of our food distribution in America. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, up to 40% of food in the United States is never eaten. While in the meantime, 12 million American households don't have access to enough food to feed their families. Some of you may be fortunate enough to have access to all the food that you need, but many of our peers are not. This inefficiency is a growing concern. Steps need to be taken in order to decrease the amount of food waste. First, let's chew on the problem with food waste. Next, nibble on how this much apathy towards leftovers developed. And finally, sample some savory solutions for our distasteful crisis. The habit of wasting food has been around for decades. Ever since the first person decided to throw away something that was perfectly good and edible, there has been food waste. First, let's look at how this affects people, and next how it affects the environment. Harvard T.H. Chen's School of Public Health site, accessed December 29, 2020, defines food waste as food that is fit for consumption, but is discarded at the retail or consumption phases. Each year, countless people are going hungry. When I think of hunger, the little children and their families in Haiti first come to mind. But what doesn't occur to us is that food waste in the U.S. doesn't just affect our native citizens, but that it has long-reaching impacts. The amount of waste is staggering, says the April 11, 2020 New York Times article. According to the nation's largest dairy cooperative, Dairy Farmers of America, these estimate that farmers are dumping as many as 3.7 million gallons of milk each day. A single chicken processor is smashing 750,000 eggs each week. If we didn't waste so much food, then food that isn't considered to be supermarket quality could be sent to those in our country and others who need it the most. According to the January 23, 2020 U.S. News article, the average American household wastes about 30% of the food it buys. And the FDA says that wasted food is the single largest category of material placed in municipal landfills and represents the nourishment that could have helped feed families in need. Additionally, water, energy, and labor used to produce wasted food could have been employed for other purposes. The environment also suffers as a result of our wastefulness. The November 9, 2020 University of Colorado Boulder article states that the food production industry in the United States uses about 50% of all land and 80% of all fresh water. Each year, millions of tons of food are dumped into landfills. This releases more greenhouse gases, thus resulting in major effects on our planet and climate, such as more rapid sea level rise, ice cap melting, and increased flooding. These are some major effects. And it turns out, as we waste our food, we waste our planet. Now let's shed some light on how this much apathy towards leftovers developed. First, let's look at why we are wasting so much food, and then how education affects the spread of this leftover lethargy. Some Americans waste so much food simply because they don't have a need for it anymore and don't know how to distribute it further. Supermarket chains such as Walmart throw away bread that has been on the shelf for a certain number of days, as well as other perfectly good food that isn't up to their fresh standards, which is defined by law. The Feeding America site Access December 29, 2020, states that 52 billion pounds of food from manufacturers, grocery stores, and restaurants end up in landfills, rather than kitchen tables. This wastefulness will continue to increase in the same manner as it began. Most people know that this is a problem, but aren't educated on the subject. Another cause of our wastefulness is lack of education on proper food management. There aren't enough skills taught in school that require children to learn how to manage their food and budget properly in order to decrease the amount of waste. Change won't appear to us on a silver platter with a lace napkin to wipe up our mistakes. Steps need to be taken in order to put a stop to this ever-growing trend. Though our crisis has been piling up like icing on a cupcake, there are measures that are currently being taken in order to stop this trend. First, let's look at what our government is doing to help decrease the amount of wastefulness, and then what we as citizens can do in order to help in this initiative. Though some may not agree with what our government is doing right now, something our lawmakers are doing right is working towards decreasing the amount of food waste. On December 17, 2020, the USDA, EPA, and FDA announced the renewal of a 3-year joint agency formal agreement called the Winning on Reducing Food Waste Initiative. This agreement reaffirms the agency's commitment in order to work towards the national goal of reducing food waste by 50% by 2030. We as citizens can also play a role. The Feeding America site Access December 29, 2020, and the Bayer site Access December 20th, 2020, states that it's easy to get involved, whether it be from changing our shopping habits, reducing food waste in our homes, or donating to local food banks. Children can also do their part. According to the USDA site Access December 28, 2020, K-12 schools play a special role in reducing, recovering, and recycling wholesome excess food, and in also teaching our children to manage their food and budget properly in order to demonstrate this in future generations. Remember, change starts with you. As one seed of kindness, care, and prevention is planted, so will others follow and grow until there's enough kindness to feed the world. Today we've chewed on the problem with food waste, spooned out some causes, and finally sampled the buffet of solutions for our distasteful crisis. But this can all change if we start to take hold of operations in our communities, instead of letting our government handle everything. Remember, everything can change if we start to take the steps necessary. I'm involved in several food outreach programs and donate food to local food banks that target specific community needs. God has blessed us with fertile farmland, bountiful harvests, and food that doesn't need to be wasted. If we take the steps necessary, then your favorite meal won't end up in the trash, and you'll be able to sample every bit of it until your plate is clean as a whistle. Tonight, when I looked under the bed for my monster, I found this note instead.
Gone fishing. Back in a week. Gabe.
What was I going to do? I needed a monster under my bed. How was I supposed to get to sleep if my monster was gone? I tried to get to sleep, but it wasn't the same without Gabe. I missed his ragged breathing. His nose whistling. The scrabbling of his uncut claws. How was I supposed to get to sleep without Gabe's familiar skewy noises and his spooky green ooze? It was no use. Gabe will be gone for a week, and I just had to have a monster.
My little brother once said,
Ah! Ah!
but I didn't go check on him. I'm sure he was fine. We all have things under our beds. Old socks, old food, old people. Same as Seven. When their monster goes on vacation, they try to find a replacement. But sometimes the best things in life are what we already have. I Need My Monster by Madison.
I climbed quietly out of bed so my parents wouldn't hear me. Grown-ups have some strange ideas about monsters under beds. I knocked on the floorboards, then scrambled back under my covers. Would a new monster appear? What would he be like? When I heard some creaking, that's when I knew that the substitute monster had arrived.
Good evening, my name is Herbert, and I will be your monster for the evening.
Herbert? What kind of a name is that for a monster? You don't sound scary at all. Have you even scared a kid before?
Well, no, but I have read all the best books on the topic.
Do you have long teeth and scratchy claws?
No, but I have an overbite, and I'm a mouth breather. Listen.
Herbert's painting was kind of scary, but it wasn't enough for me. Listen, Herbert, I'm sorry. I just don't think this is going to work. I really need a monster with claws.
Picking, as you wish, I'll go.
There was some more creeping and the Ralph was gone. Some scratching alarmed me that a second monster had arrived.
Hey, my name's Ralph. I understand that you need a monster with claws. If you would please lean over, I will hold out an arm for inspection.
I peered over the edge of my bed, hoping to see a horrible shaggy arm with sharp, ragged claws. But instead, I was surprised to see sleekly brushed fur with smooth, shiny claws. I don't mean to be rude, but is that nail polish on your claws?
Why, yes, it is. I believe that professional monsters should always be well groomed.
That's when I knew this wasn't going to work. Listen, Ralph, I'm sorry. I really need a monster with scary claws, like Gabe's.
Well, I never in my life. You are rude. You are nasty, and I am gone.
There was some more scratching, and the Ralph was gone. That's when I heard a third voice come from under the bed.
Shake out these claws, kid.
I peered through my fingers at the claws at the foot of my bed. The claws were impressive, jagged and dark and razor sharp. Do you have a long tail?
Yeah, but don't get scared yet.
I peered over the edge of my bed, and the slimy tail slithering from underneath. That's when I noticed the bow. Are you a girl monster?
Of course I am. I'm Cynthia. Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. Boy monsters are for boys, and girl monsters are for girls. Everybody knows that.
You're messed up. You're toxic. And you're the problem. I wouldn't want to be the monster for a kid like you anyways. Go take a feminism class, you little turd baby. Cynthia, out.
I knew my monster needed to be well-planned and menacing. The whole point of having a monster, of course, was to keep me in bed, afraid of all the scary things that might happen if I got out. That's when I heard some shuffling and some slobbering.
Hey, the name's Mac.
One look at Mac's claws proved that he was a big, scruffy monster. Maybe this one would turn out good. Do you have a long tail?
No, my tail is stumpy, but I do have an unusually long tongue.
Why would I be afraid of a long tongue?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I might lick you. Well, if you're not even going to try to work with me, I really don't recommend sending me away. Kids who reject 5 monsters in one night. I did not reject 5 monsters in one night. My regular monster went fishing. Went fishing, eh? Maybe he just left because you're so picky. Fine, I'm out of here. But I wouldn't be expecting another monster tonight if I were you. How was I supposed to get to sleep without my monster? Surprisingly, I heard some more creaking. And some more scratching. Loud creaking and scratching. Hey, kid. It was Gabe! I thought I would enjoy fishing, but I didn't. Those fish scare way too easily. You, however, are a challenge, my friend. You keep me on my toes. Toes. A delicious snack. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to start the evening with an ominous pool of drool. I peered over the edge of my bed as green ooze spread soundlessly from underneath. Bed shook as Gabe unfurled his spiked tail. He was daring me to guess where he might pop up. I shivered. Gabe was back. The ooze was perfect. I shivered again. Everything was back to normal. I would be asleep in no time.
Peru left without a leader. Trump drops lawsuit. Shootings in Chicago. All these stories and more on WGMD Radio. I'm your host, Grant Dooley, bringing you your evening news. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Wendy's. Fresh, never frozen. In international news, who is the president of Peru? The answer to that question Monday was no one. The Latin American nation's political turmoil took a chaotic turn Sunday when interim leader Manuel Merino quit and Congress couldn't decide on his replacement. That left Peru rudderless and in crisis less than a week after legislators ignited a storm of protest by removing President Martin Vizcarra, an anti-corruption crusader highly popular among Peruvians. There are 2 potential exits to the ordeal. Congress could put forward a new candidate to approve of a simple majority vote, or the country's highest court could step in. With neither route guaranteed to bring a solution, some Peruvians called for new protests, and the country verged on collapse. Also in Central America, Hurricane Iota battered Nicaragua with screeching winds and pounding surf Tuesday, chasing tens of thousands of people from their homes along the same stretch of the Caribbean coast that was devastated by an equally powerful hurricane just 2 weeks ago. The extent of the damage was unclear because much of the affected region was without electricity and phone and internet service, and strong winds hampered radio transmissions. Preliminary reports from the coast included toppled trees and electric poles and roofs stripped from homes and businesses. More than 40,000 people were in shelters. Into the land of the free. President Donald Trump's campaign is withdrawing a central request in its lawsuit seeking to stop the certification of the election results in Pennsylvania, where Democrat Joe Biden beat Trump to capture the state and help win the White House. Ahead of a Tuesday hearing in the case, Trump's campaign dropped its request in the lawsuit that hundreds of thousands of mail-in and absentee ballots be thrown out because they were processed without its representatives able to watch. Across the U.S., hate crimes in the United States rose to the highest level in more than a decade, as federal officials also recorded the highest number of hate-motivated killings since the FBI began collecting that data in the early 1990s. There were 51 hate crime murders in 2019, which includes 22 people who were killed in a shooting that targeted Mexicans at a Walmart in the border city of El Paso, Texas. The suspect in that August 2019 shooting, which left 24 other people injured, was charged with both state and federal crimes, in what authorities said was an attempt to scare Hispanics into leaving the United States. To the land of Lincoln. 1 person was killed and 21 others, including 3 minors, were injured in shootings across Chicago over the weekend. In the weekend's lone fatal attack, a 28-year-old man was shot to death Friday evening in Austin on the west side. February Burridge was on the sidewalk at about 8:05 p.m. in the 5600th block of West Madison Street when someone fired shots, striking him in the head. Burridge was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Just around the corner, the 7-day positivity rate for the COVID-19 tests in southwestern Illinois set another record Monday, according to the Illinois Department of Public Health. The 16.3% 7-day rolling average for the Metro East once again was at its highest level since the pandemic began. The new rate is based on tests recorded as of November 13th. A region's positivity rate is its percentage of positive COVID-19 tests versus the number of tests taken over a 7-day period. Sports and weather, after a word from our sponsor. This is gonna be America's favorite breakfast. They just don't know it yet. Yep, Wendy's takes that boring, bland breakfast to a breakfast that eats other breakfasts for breakfast. Who says you can't have a Baconator for breakfast? Don't just grab a coffee, grab a Frosty Chino. And forget that frozen folded egg stuff. All of our sandwiches have freshly cracked eggs. One bite, and it'll be your new favorite. Guaranteed. Into the wide world of sports. The NCAA announced Monday it plans to hold the entire 2021 men's college basketball tournament in one geographic location to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 and is in talks with Indianapolis to be the host city. The Final Four is already set to be held in Indianapolis next April, and the NCAA has its headquarters in the Indiana capital. The NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Committee determined moving those to one location would allow a safe and controlled environment with venues, practice facilities, lodging, and medical resources all near one another. Tackling the NFL, Seattle Seahawks stomped by the LA Rams 16-23. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Carolina Panthers 46-23. Jacksonville Jaguars defeated by the Green Bay Packers 20-24. Now bundle up for today's forecast. Today, sunny with a high of 63 degrees and a low of 36 degrees. Tomorrow, winds light and variable. This has been WGMD Radio, sponsored by Wendy's. Fresh, never frozen. I'm your host, Grant Dooley, saying thanks for listening, and have a great day.
Shoot, darn it, shoot, this might really be happening, shoot. Okay, the things you need to know are, this is a basement, the door is locked, it'll hold, I think, Jesus, I can't believe this is happening. How is this happening? But everyone always says that, don't they? Why here? Why me? Well, it seems it's here, and it's me, and it's getting very windy out there. Flashlight. Oh, sorry, did I mention this is a tornado? Sorry, I do that. I rush ahead. Nature is a liar. Like every other sunset, I don't mind lying because it always tends to make things easier, you know. Sometimes I'll just say something very confidently and then a second later I'll realize, no, Angela, you did not go to high school with the guy who plays the cowboy on that one HBO show. Ooh. You know, I don't really know why I do it. Little lies. Harmless, right? British poet Alfred Lord Tennyson once wrote, "A lie that is a half-truth is the deepest and darkest of all lies. Telling lies can be easy, boasting about a good score on a test that you actually failed, or pretending to be TikTok famous when in reality you only have 38 followers. These little white lies can be harmless, fun for some even, but what happens when those little fibs turn out to be an uncontrollable force of nature? Natural Shocks by Lauren Gunderson." I mean, seriously, what are the chances of actually being stuck in a tornado? Well, actually, I know the chances because I'm an insurance agent. Don't worry, I'm sure you're covered. And because this is not a professional setting, I can be as glib and morbidly humorous as my dog knows I am. Come here, Soupy. Come here. Okay, just kidding. I don't have a dog. I would love to have one though. You know what? If I survive this, I'm getting a dog. They're supposed to make you happier, right? But I can't get a dog. My husband would absolutely hate it. Or maybe he'd finally be happy. No, this is not the time to worry about a fictional pet, Angela. But I love worrying. I'm a professional worrier. You see, tornadoes, they can't be reasoned with. They can't change their minds. They don't have one. A true force of nature isn't evil. It can't be. Humans are the only evil. We know better. Or we're supposed to, at least. That's what my husband says. You know, I go with him sometimes when he hunts. It's great. I don't hunt, but I love the peace. He's doing something he loves, and I'm doing something I love. And nobody is making a single sound. Suddenly, it's a perfect marriage. But, of course it's not. Feeling and knowing are different things. I feel like I could have made it work. I know now that I can't. That is the great lie of my life. Telling myself and the rest of the world that I'm happy with him. So I'm leaving. He doesn't like hit me or anything. I just know I can do better. Look, it's been many years and most of it has been okay, but you know, lately things fall apart, things get destroyed. That's just what they do. Okay, I may have lied before. I know, shocker. But he does. Hit me. You don't have to believe me, but he does. I should have left him years ago. It's just so hard, you know? There's the bank account, mortgages, lawyers, divorce, bills. I used to think that I deserved it. Well, I don't deserve it. I didn't deserve it when he threw a jug of milk at my head. I didn't deserve it when he threw me against the wall of our living room during the Super Bowl. I don't even deserve the look he gets in his eyes when I can tell he's trying to decide whether I deserve it or not. Eyes wild, breathing through his nose like a bull. I am living with a wild animal. And that animal is a man. So I'm leaving. And I told him that about an hour ago. He got pretty mad. A different kind of mad that I had never seen before. A frozen type of mad, like someone paused him. And then the storm started. That's when I came down here. My gun is down here. He doesn't know I have a gun. I bought it a few months ago. Little lies. Harmless. And now the storm is here. Statistically, domestic abuse victims are 3.5 times more likely to be killed by their partners when trying to leave. And now the storm is here. Women are 3.6 times more likely to be killed when there are guns in the house. And now the storm is here and nature is not nice and man is the only evil animal and I didn't deserve this. And it's all statistics until it's happening to you. And then it's happening 100%. And the pistol is the tornado, and the man is upstairs, and he is coming after you. He's coming, he's here, and the storm is here, and he knows I'm in the basement, and he knows I have a gun, and I'm standing in this underground shelter, scared into a quivering breathlessness, thinking of what's to come. And what's to come is not a force of nature, but a force of man. And the things you need to know are, I lied. There is no storm. There's only him.
Hi, my mom had a reservation for Michoud, party of 23. Yeah, I know we're a big family, but it is the South. And you guys are a Cracker Barrel. That's kind of what you're here for. Oh, I'm sorry. We have an 8-minute wait before our table's ready? Perfect time to get something off my chest. Kyle, the entire ride here, you wouldn't stop lifting up your shirt and making TikToks. You care to explain what that's about? And Karen, you wouldn't stop complaining about how back in your day, all you had was a stick, a slab of coal, and Hitler. You know, despite your obvious differences, you can learn to get along. And don't be offended. Let's take this time to find something we all have in common. like how we all love those fried apples. According to the November 13th Washington Post of 2019, it is possible to mend the gap between Gen Zers, boomers, and everyone in between. So, kiddies, instead of making fun of the boomers every time they walk, and boomers, instead of making us little ones sit at the kiddie table at Thanksgiving, let's take this time to talk about the lack of love between generations. First, we'll crack open the source of this problem. Next, we'll roll the effects it's having on our family. And finally, we'll browse through the gift shop for some solutions. Like the number of bones that Gray Aunt Karen broke in the 2016 Whip and Nene accident, there are two problems. And like a billionaire sugar daddy, I'll be addressing two separate age groups. First, we'll look at the economic troubles of the younger people. Secondly, we'll look at the problems involving the boomers. But first, despite making up nearly a quarter of the population, millennials own a scant 3% of the US's wealth, compared to boomers at their age owning nearly a quarter. And with nearly half of the US population having a job degree of some sort, the job market has turned more into a job warfare. I mean, there are millennials working at Starbucks with master degrees. Karen, let's take you for example. When you had your first job as a nurse, you didn't even have a degree. How many people did you kill? That many? Secondly, changing times, changing ideas. The December 2nd New York Times says that the boomers inherited a world of plenty and broke it. Boomers constantly share memes about how back in their day, their lives were perfect, with their brown paper lunch bags, their summer holidays spent in leaky tents, and of course, walking to school on hurricanes and snowdrifts. However, they kind of ignore their problems, thinking that there was a time when they didn't trust anybody over the age of 30 and shouted flower power. They inherited a world of post-war prosperity and were able to enjoy the riches of government handouts and affordable education. And then they moved into suburban homes where they retired with a pension and government handouts that many millennials will likely never see, and is something that's definitely out of the question for any kids that they might have. All right, how much longer on our table? Aunt Karen keeps looking at that Carrie Underwood CD, and if she buys it, Jesus is going to have to take more than the wheel. Effects? There are two. First, millennials feel social resentment and blame. Secondly, boomers are feeling attacked. But first, the November 24th GQ of 2019 says that boomers are blaming millennials for killing a lot of stuff. That's GQ for you. They say that millennials are killing straws. Millennials are killing basic television. They even say that millennials are killing Applebee's. But between you and me, I think Applebee's deserves to die. I mean, every time I go, I'm like, where are the apples and where are the bees? In fact, there was even a term developed by boomers for millennials, the term snowflake. This term was used to denote someone who was overly emotional, overly entitled, and someone who just couldn't handle opposing opinions. But thinking back to our problem, millennials can't even afford the things they're accused of killing. Plus, with all of this climate and racial tensions heaped onto them, they're only trying to stop and help. Like Karen. When Kyle over here tried to stop and help you with your nose hair, that wasn't an attack. That was charity. The December 2nd New York Times says that boomers did a lot of good for our society. They were on the front lines of the civil rights movement, they helped with feminism and poverty, but they look at their mark on the world and they only see a good. Like when we eat the fried chicken and we only think about the good. Don't think about the bad. In fact, there was even a term developed for boomers a few years ago by Gen Zers, the term okay boomer. In fact, we only started it because we saw the fighting between you two. All right, now that we went through the solutions, went through the problems, and rolled through the effects, let's try to find some ways that we can bridge this generation gap. Because at this point, it's more of a moat filled with crocodiles with way too much college debt. First, there are two solutions. First, two wrongs don't make a right. And secondly, learn to be satisfied with change. But first, young people, I know it's not fun when old people talk crap about the things we like our phones, our avocado toast, and our short pants. But the November 24th Huffington Post says that if we keep pointing fingers, we aren't going to solve any problems. Furthermore, that same article states that the fighting between you two only hurts Generation Z, my generation. The generation that created the OK Boomer trend, which we only made because we saw the fighting between you two. The December 23rd Time magazine states that soon we know that we'll be taking the millennials' bottom rung on the totem pole. And frankly, we're scared. Lead by example. Challenge yourself to be kind. And that leads to my second point, learning to accept change. Boomers, you know where you've gone, and you know what you've done. It's time to be satisfied with the change that you've put into the world, and understand that the world around you is changing and growing without you, and that's perfectly okay. Everything you've done in your lives has helped us grow, and even though we might give you a hard time about it, we're still thankful for you nonetheless. All right, now that we've looked at this problem and went through the effects and its solutions, I think it's time to eat. And you might have noticed that not once during this entire script, I haven't mentioned Generation X. And that's because you guys are the real ones. You love your Nirvana and your weed, and that's totally okay. I'm looking at you, Cousin Eddie. But our table's ready, and we're about to eat good, knowing at the end of the day, we all want that same thing. To play that old-fashioned pin game, without sneers from the old ones and jeers from the rest.
Tammy, the bus is here. Today's Thursday. Yep, today's a school day, buddy. Do you want to do Three Little Pigs? Tammy, I'm getting hungry for some peanut butter right now, just so you know.
You need some jelly with that?
No, I'll let you know.
Josh? Mommy has a surprise. Remember what's on the calendar for today? Grammy Sue is coming to stay and she's bringing you a present. Yes, that's right. Okay, bye, sweetie.
So I thought peanut butter meant stay out because he's upset and don't come back in until the other person says jelly.
Usually, but I just thought of the Grammy thing.
We had those meetings and set those rules for no reason.
No, but I thought you could use the help. By the way, Justin won't be coming back to work with Josh. Not after last weekend. Why do you say you're okay with working with the kid who might get aggressive, but quit when he gets aggressive?
Should I just get Mom a room with the country in?
Just be sure she knows the code words.
So, once she's here, how many minutes do you think until she pulls out a Bible, huh?
Be nice.
Hey, she's my mom.
She means well.
So no bet?
All right. 5 minutes.
I think I'll go with 15.
And the winner gets?
I mean, you know what I'd pick.
And the winner gets to sleep in for a week.
Okay.
When we see a disability without actually experiencing it, we are merely looking through rose-colored glasses.
Disabilities aren't meant to be inspiring. They can put disabled people and their families in difficult and complicated situations every day.
And when we shift the focus away from the actual issues facing those individuals and their families,
we are limiting humanity's view on their actual feelings, thoughts,
and even their inherent worth.
Falling.
By Deanna Gent.
Mom, I'll go put these in the guest room for you.
Hey there, hi, nice to see you. So, Josh will be home soon, and I wanted to make sure that you were ready. Did Bill tell you how he gets upset sometimes? We have these code words we use to let each other know that...
Bus should be here soon.
I want you to know that he probably won't be a problem, but if he is...
Bus is here.
Josh has these things he always does right whenever he gets home.
Josh, look. Grammy Sue is here. Josh, shirt down. Sorry, he doesn't really get concepts like being polite. Hey, what? Do you need to go to your room? Find a DVD to watch? Which one?
We have to laugh about things sometimes, or we just get stuck. It gets a little crazy here, you know. Josh, what's the matter? Okay, let me see. Oh, it probably just needs to be cleaned.
Uh-oh, Josh. I think this one's broken. Looks like it's time to go back to your room and find a new DVD to watch.
This DVD is broken, but you could watch a different DVD.
Or we could play on the computer.
Josh, calm down. Let's relax.
Breathe. Good job. Let's relax. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? Yes, there is a dog barking. You don't like the dog barking. That's very good telling me how you feel, Josh. Hope the dog stop barking. Okay?
It's okay. The dog's just saying hello. Don't worry. The dog's just saying hello.
Josh, I know. It is loud. Let's cover our ears. Peanut butter, Bill. Peanut butter.
What can I...
No. Josh, let go of Grammy. Let go of Grammy.
Josh, calm. Josh.
Barking is stopped. The barking is gone. Stop.
Josh,
Let go of Mommy.
Josh.
Let go.
Stop.
You're hurting Mommy.
Josh.
Stop. Please.
Stop.
Shh. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay now, buddy? Can you go to your room and read books? Okay. And some popcorn? All right. Go to your room and read books, and I'll go get you some popcorn. Mom, I'm so sorry. It probably looks worse to you. We're used to it, and this doesn't happen that much.
We have a hard time finding people who want to keep working with him, and there's waiting lists.
Mom, stop. If you're gonna pray, then pray for programs and housing options and staff for people like Josh. Pray that our marriage won't fall apart. Pray that people will stop just praying and take some action for once, Mom. How about that, huh?
Grammy, Bill didn't. Please don't leave.
Got anything else you want me to screw up?
You didn't screw up.
Screwing up should feel better than this.
I'm sorry. I can't take care of another person right now.
Taking care of each other.
I can't.
I don't know what to say.
Neither do I. I had a dream once that Josh was dead.
Tammy.
And I thought, maybe I really do want him dead. How awful is that?
Tammy.
And when I thought he was gone, I felt so...
Relieved? Guilty?
No. Nothing. I felt nothing. It's like everything was dead. I think it means that I don't want to send him away.
What?
I think we don't love him anymore.
I'd still see him, he just wouldn't be here all the time.
It's too scary.
No, Tammy, living in fear for the rest of our lives is too scary.
I'm always going to be scared for Josh, whether he's here or somewhere else.
And what if we don't agree?
Well, if this is too tough for you, then
What? You want to be a single parent for Josh? Look, he's gonna be an adult one day.
No, of course not. But lots of adults live with their parents.
Lots of adults aren't Josh, Tammy.
All the more reason for him to stay here.
How is it better for Josh if we're the only ones who can take care of him?
How is it better for Josh if he's somewhere where nobody loves him?
I know it's gonna be a long process, but we have to move forward.
It's not Josh.
What?
He's dead. It's not Josh. It's the other one. The one he could have been. That dream, you know? That he'll go to regular school and sing in the choir and go to college and get a job and be... Instead, there's no dream for Josh.
You are not okay. We are not okay.
Can we fix it? I don't know.
My mom told me I was the most adorable baby she had ever seen, and I believed her until I looked at my baby pictures. I just stood there in shock, staring at this photo. I was ugly. My mom failed to mention my chubby cheeks, big forehead, and oh, don't even get me started on the wrinkles. No amount of wrinkle cream could fix that. But no matter how a baby might appear when they're first born, you can't help but say, "Aww." Cuteness is in the eye of the beholder, but it is so much more than that. Known as kawaii by the Japanese, the warm feelings you achieve when you see something cute is a powerful psychological force that can help you overcome some of your greatest challenges. The January 31st, 2020 Psychology Today article says the cuteness trend has become a main theme across the world, involving everything from fashion to mental health. Let's see how cuteness was recognized, how our brains react to it, and how it may or may not be too cool to be cute. The study of cuteness began in an unlikely place as we look at first its early beginnings and second its significance. Konrad Lorenz, an Austrian ethologist, began studying animal behavior to try and find out why humans react the way we do to cute things, says a November 13th, 2020 Discover article. His idea, called baby schema, recognized the features we would be most attracted to in an infant mammal. For example, large head, large eyes, small nose. Like Baby Yoda. Who could resist? Except for maybe those ears. His idea of baby schema was suggested to be triggered biologically instead of learned. This type of hardwired response to stimuli, known as an innate releasing mechanism, means humans will be more protective of a baby, even if they had never seen it before. This nudged parents into being more involved with their children, ensuring they grow healthy and reach adulthood. Now, we know moms will care for their young and have hormones to help with that, but he found that even the males could not avoid this caregiving trait. The cuter mammals would receive more attention, giving them an evolutionary advantage because they were more likely to be taken in. The November 7th, 2019 ZME Science article says there are no cute things. Only things you perceive as being cute, so you'll feed them. Maybe if you saw their teeth instead of their cute little nose, you might feel differently. Ironically, Lorenz believed this whole biological trigger was a bad thing. He was a card-carrying Nazi whose research was trying to justify the benefits of more desirable traits. More recent studies show that an individual's response is molded by their personal experience, cultural variation, and other factors, which stalls this instinct towards cuteness. Now that we've discussed how cuteness was studied, let's see how our brains react, and for more than just caregiving. A group of test subjects were shown images of cute baby kittens and images of not-so-cute adult cats, like a lion. The April 22nd, 2020 Psychology Today article says that these subjects received rapid brain activity in the orbitofrontal cortex when shown images of the kittens. This is the emotional part of the brain that is linked to motivational behavior. Competitive activities such as winning a speech contest or being nominated prom queen both trigger this part of the brain. Usually it takes our brain a two-step process to recognize something and react to it. But these subjects showed these feel-good thoughts were activated within 250 milliseconds of seeing something adorable. It's like an adrenaline rush. Furthermore, these subjects played the game Operation and actually performed it better. They were more careful and had better motor skills. This stimuli triggers other responses such as attention, focus, and reward. Another study shows that you don't have to see these images to activate your brain. A group listened to a baby crying for 5 minutes, The second group listened to an adult crying for 5 minutes, and the third group listened to birdsong for 5 minutes. The group that had listened to the baby crying performed both visual search tasks and motor dexterity skills more accurately than the other two groups, says a study published in a 2012 PLOS. After listening to these audios, the subjects let out their frustrations with a game of whack-a-mole. Don't worry, the mole wasn't cute. The subjects that had listened to the baby crying performed more accurately than the other two groups. So taking that break to look at images of your friend's adorable puppy could actually benefit your work ethic. Now, we've all probably experienced the mood-altering effects of getting a cute fix from a puppy or a baby, as long as we don't become too overwhelmed by our emotions. It's not just in our heads. The September 27, 2020 CNN reports workers who were induced to 30 minutes of endearing images experienced a 10% decrease in heart rate and blood pressure. So employers are more open to bring your dog to work day. Now, if I could just convince my teacher to let me bring Fluffy to class. And even if this doesn't happen, we can still find ways to bring cuteness into our daily lives. Give in to just a few more minutes of those bunny videos, or surround yourself with soft, cuddly items. They don't have to be alive. Hello Kitty. It's not just for kids. Use your brain's response in the workplace. When someone frustrates you or intimidates you, picture what they were like as a child, says psychologist Tanya Luna. Picture that child still inside of them, and connect with your feelings of empathy and care, instead of just defensiveness. Some can be so overwhelmed by the sweetness, says a February 29, 2019 NPR episode. Have you ever seen something so adorable you could just eat it up? And I do mean literally. Believe it or not, researchers have been studying levels of cute aggression, where some can be so affected by how adorable something is that they just want to act out and pinch your cheeks or something worse. Trust me, I've seen it in action. Only 6 feet are keeping me safe from my mama's life-threatening hugs. Something as simple as spending time with a lovable furry friend or listening to cute kitten meows could help make our challenging days just a little bit better. We've seen how cuteness was recognized, how our brains react to it, and how to maintain it in our daily lives. Cynthia Rowling once said, "Everything's cute when it's small." Indeed, the smaller something is, the more we are triggered to love and care for it. Fortunately, as I get older, I get less cute. That means I'll have less attention from those around me. Good thing I know how to care for myself. Then maybe I can be the one looking for something cute to pitch.
One of my all-time favorite role models is Alice Paul. Alice Paul was a suffrage leader, and she led the National Women's Party for over 50 years. She led the Silent Centennials, and she was even thrown in jail for leading the suffrage movement. As a young girl, Alice Paul's mother took her to suffrage rallies and took her to rights movements, which in turn made her see all the opportunities for herself and for other women if the 19th Amendment and the right to vote for women was given to them. She understood that her rights and her opportunities in her life, she was going to have to take them and seize them, because she lived in a time when women were thought of as nothing but property. Because she realized this and she seized every opportunity possible, she not only changed her life, but she also changed the life for me and millions of other women. She understood that if she wanted something and she wanted those doors to be opened for her, many, many doors, that she was going to have to take every opportunity possible and pave her own path. So today, this brings us to our quotation by Sun Tzu. Opportunities are multiplied when they are seized. I absolutely agree with this quotation. What this quotation means is that when you want to do something for yourself or for other people, when you want to change your life or the lives of others, you have to take every opportunity possible. You must pave your own path, and by doing that, by seizing and doing what you want, many more doors will be opened for you, which can lead you to greater and better things. So today we're going to examine this through 3 key points of analysis. First, how you need to push for your opportunities. Second, how you must build your own opportunities. And third and finally, what happens when we fail to meet the opportunities that life presents us.
So first, sometimes we all need to push for what we want in our lives. When we push for what we want, it can lead us and other people to big and better things. In the 2018 biopic Bohemian Rhapsody, we are introduced to a young Freddie Mercury. He's in a bar watching a band play, and in that band are Roger Taylor and Ryan May. He sees something special in them, and he knows that their talent combined with his can lead them to stardom. So afterwards, he goes up to them in the back parking lot and he starts singing for them. And at first, Brian May and Roger Taylor think that this guy is crazy. But once he starts singing, they realize that he had a true voice, and that he had an opportunity for them to reach what they wanted to be, rock stars. So they say that their main singer had just quit and invite Freddie to come sing with them. And I think we all know how this goes. Queen eventually becomes one of the best-selling rock bands of all time. And this was because Freddie Mercury realized that he was going to have to seize an opportunity from other people and with other people to help rocket him to stardom, and also because Roger Taylor and Brian May realized that this opportunity with Freddie is what might finally help push their band past the point and get them a record deal. Next, sometimes you have to build your own opportunities to help you later in life. In the ancient medieval literature piece Beowulf, we are introduced to Beowulf. Beowulf is the blueprint for every epic hero ever, when he is described as chaining giants and killing the sea monsters, and that when he walks off the battlefield, he is dripping in blood. Beowulf never backed down from a fight or from a conflict. He realized that he was going to have to take every opportunity possible, and when he sees those opportunities, he always won. And because of this, when he finally goes to see King Hrothgar and asks him about if he would be allowed to kill Grendel, Hrothgar agrees, because Beowulf's reputation precedes him. Because every opportunity he took opened another door and another door and another door, and finally allowed him to seize this major opportunity which defined his life. Because of this, he was able to defeat Grendel and Grendel's mother. And Beowulf was able to succeed and have a nice life and become the king he always wanted to be, because he understood that all of his opportunities when he was young would help lead him to be a great king and help his people be happy and prosperous. Finally, sometimes we don't take every opportunity life presents us, and that can be detrimental to us and our health at the end of our lives. In the book Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, we are introduced to Billy Pilgrim. I always describe Billy as a very average character. He fought in World War II, and then he came home and he went to optometry school, he got married, and then he had 2 children. Billy was a very average man, and he lived average life. And him and his wife Veronica went to the country club and they ate dinner, and he listened to the radio. But towards the end of Billy's life, he begins to time travel. He has jumped through every point of his life, from surviving the bombing of Dresden to when his wife died, to when he almost died in a plane crash, and all these opportunities in his life that he realized he missed. He's even abducted by aliens at one point, and he realized that he could have done more with his life. When he is flashed back to these periods, he looks and realizes that that was not the best opportunity for me. I could have done so much more in my life, and I didn't. And he asks himself why. Why didn't he do more in his life? Why didn't he seize the opportunities and open so many doors for himself and his family? Billy Pilgrim serves as a reminder that we must always take and serve and do what we want to do in our lives, because we can regret it at the end of our lives, especially when we're trying to time travel and figure out what the true meaning of our life was. Sometimes we can realize that our life might not have had meaning at all. So today we examine the quotation by Sun Tzu. Opportunities are multiplied as they are seized. We looked at this through 3 key points of analysis. First, how we must push for what we want in our life. Second, how we must build our opportunities now for what comes later. And finally, what happens when we miss opportunities in our life. We can take a page out of all of these people's books, and especially out of Alice Paul's book, that you must fight for what you want. You must pave your own way to open the door for yourself and for millions of other people. You must never back down, whether you're thrown in jail or you're beaten or you're cursed at. You must take every opportunity possible, because you never know what that opportunity could lead you to.
Okay, think strong women. Breathe in, Betty White. Breathe out, Michelle Obama. Okay, I'm calm. Oh, whatever. It's just a Zoom talent show. It's on Zoom this year. I mean, nothing ever goes wrong on Zoom. Right?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 29th Annual High School Talent Show. I'm your host, Principal Raspapies. That's totally not a name I made up to hide from the FBI. But okay, first off, I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who competed in the three-legged drive-through race. If you would like to donate any money to those who were involved in the terrible crash, there's a link to my Venmo in the chat. All right, let's get started. First up, let's meet our judges. All right, here's Joe from Joe's Water Park.
I am Joe. I am so broke. This is not even my living room. It is a cardboard cutout of one.
All right, that's wonderful. Next up, we have Sally, the owner of Sally's Salon.
Yeah, I'm also bankrupt now. I'm really broke. I'm so poor.
Okay, wonderful. And lastly, we have Mike from Mike's Mask Emporium.
I'm Mike. I'm so freaking rich. And I'm filming this in my gold bathtub.
Okay, all right, now is the time that you've all been waiting for, the talent portion. First up, we have Tanya with her tantalizing magic act. Ooh, take it away, Tanya.
Magic. What is it? Who is it? What does it taste like? Today, I will be answering none of these questions. All right, now for my first trick, I'm going to be making my dog, Dr. Parchie, disappear. Are you ready, Dr. Parchie? Woof! All right, okay. Abracadabra, alakazam, make my... Are you using curses? Is that a curse? No, it's a spell, not a curse. Okay, as I was saying, abracadabra, alakazam, make my puppy wuppy disappear. Come on, get out of the frame. Go. Over there, please. Mom, call him over there. Please. There's people watching you. Get out of the frame. Whoa. Whoa. He's gone. Isn't that just mind-blowing?
Okay, moving on. Next up, we have Jessie, the amazing living statue. Jessie, I think your camera's frozen. Jessie, I think your camera's frozen. Oh, wait. Your statue. You're supposed to be still. That's lame. Hey, Jessie, you put that finger down right now. That is very inappropriate. You put that middle finger down right now. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have Rebecca with, oh, finally a wholesome entertainment. A tip-tap and tap dance. Take it away, Rebecca. Rebecca, I think you're on mute. Oh, is your mic broken? Okay. What a totally fun and not boring tap dance. With no sound. Hopefully no one else sucks that bad. Next! Today, I will be smelling candles and explaining their scents to you. Oh, this one smells like garbage. I don't like it.
I will be giving myself a tattoo.
Okay, moving on next.
Do you want to see me eat my hand?
No thank you. Next. Welcome to my bedroom.
Do you want to see me eat both my hands?
No! What is it with you guys in hands? Ooh. Moving on. Next.
And that's how you euthanize a cat. I'd like to thank my assistant, Mr. Socks. A moment of silence for Mr. Socks. Let me just pick him up again. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, girl, that was depressing. Okay. We're going to take a brief intermission before our last act. Before we get back to Kirsten. You all remember her. Last year, she broke a water main with her ribbon dancing routine. Cut 3 people. Yeah. Okay. See you guys back here in 10.
I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. Let me just look in the mirror, check if my eyebrows are symmetrical. Yeah, I'm looking good. Hey, Kirsten. Oh my God, who are you? I'm you, obviously, but I'm in the mirror. Duh. Just listen to me. The world is crazy right now. I know that everything's scary and up in the air, but this is the way the world is. It's not gonna go back for a while now. You just gotta accept it. Come on, be a man. Also, please, stop doing somersaults while naked in the bathroom. I've seen too much. Okay, peace out.
All right, everybody, we're back. Hopefully no one dies this time. Take it away, Kirsten.
Okay, I can do this. Hit it. Where have all the good men gone and where are all the gods? 3 minutes later, I need a hero. Oh my God, I did it. I conquered my fear. Guys, I did it.
Kirsten.
Yes, Principal Rajabaj. Was it like so good?
Kirsten, you were on mute the whole time.
I was? Oh. I guess then. Do you want to see me eat my hand? I put a spell on you because you're Why, hello, yes, I didn't see you there. See, I've been awfully occupied lately with all of these glasses to fill with bones and all of these puppies to knit sweaters for. Oh, no, that's not an evil witch thing. That's just cute as hell. But mostly I've been preparing for my next hunt. Hunting for men like him. He throws you across your bedroom, cradles you in the wreckage. He likes girls who are easy to crawl into and easier to cut out of. Girls who sing with their eyes closed and sleep with them open. You better stop the things you do. Fragile femininity. Girls like me. I need to realize that this is not a fairy tale. There are no witches. There is no witch hunt. There are no matches, no burnings. There is no fiery revolution. This is simply a story of women fighting back against the man-made structure that has long overstayed its welcome.
You better stop the things you do. In her 2018 book titled Witches, Witch Hunts, and Women, Sylvia Federici explains the historical institution of witch hunts ushered in a regime of violence and torture against all women. We were terrorized through false accusations, horrendous torture, and public executions. Fast forward 3 centuries, and the tables seem to have turned. In the wake of Me Too, women are now being viciously accused of spearheading their own witch hunts targeting men. So, through the poetry, Yes, This Is a Witch Hunt by Dorothy McGinnis, Witch Hunt by Samantha Healy, and The Witch Doesn't Burn in This One by Amanda Lovelace, we can see that these are not unwarranted witch hunts, but women finally fighting back against years of violence and sexual assault that has forced us to live in fear. But now, we are no longer afraid. A program. Telling me not all men have bad intention doesn't do anything to reassure me. When I walk away from you, nothing will have changed. I will still be scared to leave my house after sundown. I will still find comfort in keys resting between my fingers. I will still wonder when I am to become a story to warn other people's daughters. And I will still cry when I turn on the television to find yet another man getting away with, well, what they always seem to get away with. You see, what you don't realize is that we witches have been carrying around ancient spells of your wrongdoings for centuries. You have just mistaken them for schoolgirl gossip. But when the rifle lands, when the apple strikes through the arrow, when Eve strangles the snake, and you are nothing more than a shadow of repentance, then you'll know. What happens when you throw your match but the witch simply refuses to burn? What happens when you throw your stone but the wife simply refuses to bleed? What happens when you throw your fist but your truth-talking girlfriend simply refuses to bruise? What is success? When your legacy has burned on a stake that you built, when Brock Turner's name sprouts up in textbooks with the caption screaming, "Rapist," darting through the woods of his misbehavior, praying for the camouflage he took for granted. Soon, they will feel their bones crunch under the weight of 1,000 witches' boots. We are the witch in the sky. We are the woman with the hooked nose, the humpback, the magic wand, the evil laugh. I am both the relapse and the dead end. I am a Wicca woman. I am the witch in town, burning at his stake, forcing ashes down his throat, making him choke, watching what happens when a woman finally stands up, speaks out. Over the span of centuries, animals have evolved to survive their surroundings. So what happens when a woman finally learns to fight back? This is what happens. This is where you stop hushing your hurt. This is where you worship your womanhood. This is where you dance, and dance not in his moonlight, but in your own resilience. Rebirth yourself into the wrath of this world. Come out chanting, come out kicking, come out in flames, come out and say, I am not scared of you. You are scared of me. accountability is my finest spell, and you will fear it. Where you were once the werewolf howling at the moon, you are now nothing more than a femur in my vase. You are the grime I scrape from my cauldron. Look, the flicker of lit torches. Look, your sweat drips as you dash away. Look, you can't escape. Interesting, this fear of being vulnerable. Interesting, this idea of being weak. Interesting how you feel so helpless, so womanly. And I ain't lying.